Welcome to Albion TV presents the AO Daily Show, your source of real news in an unreal world, keeping up to date on the latest news, events, and the great community of Albion Online. Today is Thursday, the 14th of November, and I'm your host, Shozen. Shozen? Shozen. And with me today is my co-host, Bogul. Sometimes I don't even know who I am anymore, Bogul. What's going on here? It must be Econ Thursday because I don't know what's going on.
It is indeed, yes. It is Thursday. On Thursday, we do our little market watch. We pick one or a few economic topics in the world of Albion, and do that on Thursdays. But we do have a few PSAs that are sort of newsworthy that supersede the topic of the day a little bit. And I think the first one that we, of course, have to mention is that yesterday the Avalonian invasion started together with Percival patch 10. And we spent the whole show on this yesterday, so we won't redo that. But if you haven't heard, there is a lot going on, and you should check these out because there is a lot to discover, to see, to understand about the next 2 months or so.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be an exciting 2 months. It's going to ramp up. Like, that's the most important thing to me is that, guys, it's going to start small, and then it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and just more exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. But we have a couple other PSAs, like something that's been going on for quite a while. Bogle. People keep subbing to the channel. They keep saying, hey, I've got my Amazon Prime. Boom, I want in on this. And I'm like, I ain't got anything to give you other than my heartfelt thanks and gratitude. I mean, thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But what we would like to do is give you guys some emotes. And the best way to do that is to reach out to you very talented artists out there. Mishireen, if you're listening, I need some emotes. And I will give you, or anyone else, 1 month of premium if your emote is chosen for the 6 emotes that we have. Now, we have one on the page, Bogle. We have one on there. And I keep saying, I'd like to put it on. But you're like, no, I don't want people saying buy is chosen all the time. And I'm like, I don't care. And eventually I'm just going to put it up there if nobody else picks up, picks up the slack and makes new emotes. So maybe, Bogle, your best bet to get that one off is to make the emotes yourself. What if you make the emotes? You could be the one to get that free premium.
Let me think about that. We also have other information that is not just emotes, and we really, really need these emotes. And go do these, please. Thank you very much. We also have 2 important bits of information that sort of complement the announcements that were released yesterday. Specifically, we have Retroman commenting in the Albion forums on the official announcement that was released yesterday with additional information about the Avalonian mage bosses that spawn, that both give season points and only spawn at certain intervals during the weeks that are coming up. And they are adding an additional time for the mage bosses. They previously had them at 0, 12, and 20 UTC, and they are looking at adding another spawn at 4 UTC. But it might not make it in with the first wave, but they are looking at getting that patched in over the next, what does it say? Soon, TM.
Yeah, the soon. The soon. Soon.
Yeah. And the other one that is a little bit further down in the thread as well is Retroman confirming that they want to keep the items that are creatable with the Avalonian energy in the game somehow, but there is no information or decision yet as to how that is going to happen. That is some information that we will get as we get closer to Queen. But they are looking at keeping the tools and the mount and the food in the game.
Yeah, I think that we talked about this right before the show in that it feels like they're putting in more ways to get high end resources. Like we've seen the map. The map has this like just more tier 8 zones. It has more tier 7 zones. It now we're going to have tools that will allow you to get 20% more T8
I mean, right now
materials. So
expensive.
that's like, yeah, but you know that once people control their zone, right? And they have that area where they're getting their tower bonus and they're trying to get as much as they can out of their gathering in that zone, their T8 zone that they've desperately tried to secure. They're going to go in and buy those really high cost tools. I mean, right now, 5,000 is a lot, right? It's a huge investment.
For the amount,
For
yeah.
the mount. How much is it for a tool right now? Is it
The tier 8 ones, I think, are 300, and
okay?
the
Sorry, yeah,
tier
that's
4
it's a huge
ones
difference, between
still a
300 and
hefty
5,000.
price.
It's still a hefty price, yeah. But the idea is that with it being so costly now, it's only 2 mobs out there. No bosses are out there yet. As more and more of this energy starts to go out there, the price will drop. More people will start using it in the tools. I believe the tools is probably going to be a big source of the energy draw on this. I mean, that's something that can create wealth for you by investing, and you see people use that.
Yeah, I already heard from a few people that they are going to fork out the money and get their tier 4 leveled up in a blue zone. Just have some nice additional bonuses and get these missing points on the Destiny board that they always wanted to complete. Yeah, but talking about the energy, Shozen, I did a little bit of a market lookup for the volume of the Avalonian energy that we saw being sold in the last day, because I think it's interesting from a historic perspective to just briefly take note of how much energy was sold in the last 24 hours and how much the initial pricing is of that, because I'm sure in a few weeks we'll come back to that and look how it develops. But if you filter for the last 4 weeks, then you can see the last day. And in Carlion, you see that it's about 18,000 units that were sold yesterday. And I teleported or I looked in the other cities as well. And there the volume that went through the market is a little bit lower. Martlock and Limehurst, for example, only have about 11 or 12K. Fort Sterling has about 13. Thetford has 6, and Bridgewater has 5K in terms of market volume, with a price that is somewhere between 18K for the buy orders, a little bit lower in the Royal Cities, and about 21K for the sell orders. That's just something I wanted to put out there as an interesting historical fact, and then we can come back to it later.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think we should just keep an eye on this at least once a week from now on. On our market watch, much like gold, we can keep an eye on this. I kind of feel like we should start paying attention to energy, regular energy as well, Bogul. Get an idea of what things are going for, and just give people, some of the basic goods once a week. Talk about them occasionally. But
yeah, do
today,
like a basket of tools, like the Albion Consumer Index or something.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be interesting. But I wanted to talk about this other thing, Bogle. You know what's going on today? Today has seen the lowest price on gold in a while. I mean, it's down to right now it's at 34.02. 34. That's low. That's as low as we've seen. So, yep, 4-week low.
I mean, it's about similar to 4 weeks ago. It had a
well,
little bit
4
of
weeks
an
ago it
uptick,
was
but
40.
we're back down.
It was 34.74. That's like 100. Almost it's 74% of 100 gold difference here, Bogle. I mean, come on.
Come on. Yes, of course, sure. Yeah. So gold market is boring, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that the
on?
silver sync is working as intended in that it caught, like what we were dealing with before was runaway inflation, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't that we needed to get the gold price down to a certain point. It was that we didn't want to go up anymore. And it was at, well, we get to 40, 44, right? Was that what
Mhm.
we were at? Like that was our peaking. Yeah, we had some high days over there, 45 maybe. Um, but
I, for one, know that I spend a lot of money on transmuting resources so far. And in certain cases, it is cheaper to transmute them upwards instead of buying them from sell orders.
interesting. That's good to know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and we have one shout out to do as well
Oh, we
today.
do. Let me
Shozen.
get
Did
that.
you see?
Yeah, the rankings up, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fame. This is impressive. Madalena at 3.1 billion. She just passed 3 billion. Bogle, 3 billion,
Fame.
3
Total
billion
fame.
fame. That's a
By
lot of
far. Yeah.
fame.
That's the
And
only character in the game with more than 3 billion fame.
Mhm.
And it's, I think, the character in the game with the most crafting fame as well.
yeah, and she's like almost a full billion fame ahead of you. That's just put it in perspective here. The difference between 1 and 3 is a billion. One's got 3.
Impressive, definitely. So a huge, huge shout out to Madilena. I know he or she is very active, and I think we sometimes see her in GVGs as well. So definitely a big shout out. And I messaged and asked, hey, can we get an interview? Maybe, probably,
Yeah,
hopefully in the future.
maybe someday.
And the answer was maybe my English. So we have to see.
But we do
if
have a
can.
couple of Russian who are willing to like translate for us for interviews, and I
Yeah.
keep trying to like find somebody who's willing to be translated. That's the thing is I found a translator. Now I need to find somebody willing to be translated. It's very hard to do that in an interview, but I feel like the audience might enjoy it for like 5 or 10 minutes of just getting like just understanding how incredibly international this game is that for some people in this game the only way to talk to them is with an interpreter, a translator, somebody who can give you an idea of what's going on, because with the Russians not a lot of them speak English. It's not like the Brazilians.
Well, we have a sort of maybe as an answer. So I'll keep poking him. I do have some occasional contact. So, yeah. But that is the news part of the show today, is it? Shozen?
Do we have any more news? News? No, I think that's it. I think that's it for news. And now we get to dive into our big topic for the day, Bogle.
I just thought of one more thing, I suppose.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
It's the beginning of the season. Tomorrow is the first.
Yeah.
Or actually on Saturday, rather.
Well, tomorrow is when things get locked up. You have to make sure that tomorrow you guys have your locks ready so that you're all set to go where you need to go, because Saturday is the first invasion of this invasion season. This is an invasion season. This whole season is about the Avalonian invasion. Like, that just sounds weird. I feel like we're going to get invaded by shellfish. It's... No, the Avalonian...
Oh, that took... Okay.
Really? That one took a while?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I hope you're running it through the translator, and that's why it's taking a while. All right. But yeah, it does feel a little weird. But I think that we're going to be fine. Just everybody, you remember your locks. Oh, God, there we go. Another fish reference.
Will you be streaming?
I will be streaming, and I'm going to be streaming with Tazik. Tazik is going to join me. He's also going to join us tonight because, as far as I understand it, Lupak is away being a famous DJ.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, Lupak is a famous Twitch DJ, which means he DJs for nerds.
Lupak mixtape confirmed. We need that on the show, I think.
Oh, gosh. So there was one time I feel really bad saying this, but it is kind of funny, and he can take it. So Lupac is playing some music one day, and I'm like hanging out. I just subscribed to his channel, and he's like just bopping around to some music. I'm like, can you change this? I can't stand this music. I love the music you play, but this one I just can't deal with. It's like too high pitched and whiny. And he's like, that's one of mine. And I felt so bad.
Oh well. Shout out to Lupac.
It was no Judy boots, is all I'm saying. It was no Judy boots. So yeah, I feel like we can pick on him a little bit because he's off making the big money at. Is he playing Wesley Stadium or whatever it is, or Wesley Stadium, the big one, the Wembley is the duck, right? Like from DuckTales.
I just heard he's DJing for nerds, and we'll leave it with that.
Wembley Stadium, the big open air stadium in London. I believe he's doing his DJ set there, which is probably one of the coolest things that you get to do. That's pretty awesome. So congratulations to him. I'm sure he's going to have a fun time. But we're going to get something great in return. We're going to get Tazak here tonight and on Saturday.
Nice.
I agree, Fun Stealer. Airship, Enoch should make a song with Lupac. They should get together, make something, and we should get the Albion rapper to do it. There's a guy who I was just hanging out with the other day. I think it's Pharaoh. I think Pharaoh was the Albion rapper. So if we can get the three of them together, we could have our own lonely island. And we could call it the Lonely Basement.
No?
Fun Stealer says yes.
Okay. We do have something else that we can talk about today, though, since it's Thursday, since it is sort of, post-patch means before the next patch, right? We're in the situation where we just had a bunch of new cool stuff, but that also, especially for the developers, means that they just got done with a large chunk, and now they're looking forward to doing the next thing, and they're sort of preparing their next steps and figuring out what to do next. And as part of that, there is a little thing happening tomorrow.
Yeah. I guess we should probably say you're not going to be here tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I will go to this little small size economy roundtable discussion tomorrow, where a bunch of nerds again discuss the Albion economy in
oh my god,
bunch of depth.
That's like multiple layers, right? Like we're all playing an MMO, so we can all look at ourselves and go, yeah, I'm kind of nerdy. I don't like to talk about this when I'm out at the club. It's not really, it doesn't go. So my guild, we did this massive ZVZ this weekend, and we really dealt with the invasion of the elementals, and we put them down. And then this guild came in, and we totally crushed them. No, you don't tell people about that at the club. So we can all admit we're a little bit of a nerd. We're all playing this. But the guys who are on the round table for the economic side, What is the equivalent to a pocket protector for MMOs? What is that like
a pocket protector?
Yeah, for an MMO. Is that
I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out.
It's a bunch of turbo nerds, super turbo nerds, I think, who basically sit in Carleon the whole day and figure out how to supply their guild with the much needed gear that they will blow up in ZVZs just a few hours later. Or it's the guy who is telling your guildmate, no, sorry, you can't have a 3 masterpiece today. It's a little bit expensive.
Sorry. I think Fun Stealer just had a revelation.
I am that guy, he says,
guys, we love you. We're all hanging out together. We're hanging out with our peers here, our friends. We're all family and friends here.
Yes.
And we can all fight with each other. It's fine. But continue, Bogul.
And as part of this little small size roundtable discussion that is focused on Albion's economy, I wanted to sort of mention this here on the show because I think it's interesting for the larger population to know that this is, of course, one of the things that they are starting to look at right now, which I assume is something that they are right now trying to figure out how to plan uh, into their schedule for post Queen, right?
Yeah,
That's a long-term development sort of
post
thing.
Queen, you could even say it's farther than that. Like this is, I think the last time we interviewed Robin, maybe it was even the time before that, he talked about how one of the things they've tried to do is go from a short turnaround on patches to a longer turnaround, where they work on it for 6 months or longer and really get something solid going. And it may work on it might overlap with 2 or 3 other content updates, but they still get to put more time into it and thought into it. So the end results, while everything might take a little bit longer to get done, everything ends up with a little bit more quality into it. And so we're in the very, very early phase of collecting ideas from the different players who are very interested in this style of gameplay, because there are a lot of people who that's how they play the game. Bogul, Bogul isn't the only guy who does what Bogul does. He's just gets to be the most vocal. There are hundreds of people, thousands of people who just play the economic portion of this game. And we're going to try to get some of the best minds together.
Well,
Under Bogul.
No. That's not under me. No.
No.
It is a sort of small group invitational thing by some of the community managers, where I think we get to pitch some ideas and pitch some, what's working, what's not working. What would we like to see as a player who is very engaged with that sort of thing for the future? And I do have some questions that were sent to me that might come up in that discussion. And I thought it would be fun to put them out here. Maybe you can give me your opinion and I can sort of say a little bit. And then if you guys have a very strong opinion on either one of these questions that we bring up, then you still have a little bit of time to either send me a message and I can try to incorporate that into the whole feedback sort of thing. Or I can try to find another way if you can't do it timely because it's tomorrow, it's a little bit late, sorry. But maybe over the next few weeks, when this stuff inevitably comes up again, I can mention it then. So that's the reason why I want to bring it up, that if you have an opinion, you can message me later on Discord and tell me your thoughts. Okay, so how do we do this, Shozen?
Now
do you just want to go through the
I feel questions? Like it. So why don't we tell them what the questions are that we're going to be talking about? Because now it's the Shozen and Bogul share their opinions part of the show. Now, please understand, neither one of us have great opinions. We have mediocre opinions at best. But for some reason, sometimes they give us money to tell people what our opinions are. I don't understand this. This is weird. It's like some form of entertainment. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to give small opinions that you guys can build off of and tell us what you guys think about your own opinions on that. And we'll have the second half of the show will just be kind of a back and forth as we talk to you guys about these questions, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to them.
I do have 5 in total that may or may not come up during this, and they are all centered around economy and crafting. And this, I'll just start. First one, what economic activities do you enjoy most and would like to see either more depth or things added to it? Shozen. Economic activities.
Personally, oh, hold on. I've got some in the background. My Twitch just went crazy. I was trying to update it, and yeah, that just went crazy. Okay, what economic activities do I enjoy the most? And what would I like to see more depth into? Now, when we were talking about this before, Bogul, we got into a heated debate here because we have very differing opinions on what I'm about to talk to right now. I love crafting. I love the feeling of creating a high quality item, like a masterpiece or something like that, but feeling like what I did, the actions I took, were responsible for it being that way, and not just some act of random dice roll. And to me, there are ways to do that, either by increasing the amount of prep work you can do to increase your chances of getting those really cool high rolls, or by making an active crafting style, where you actually have to figure something out as you go, maybe balancing numbers or something. I know you don't like the idea of mini games in your crafting.
I absolutely hate the idea of mini games, but yeah.
No,
Finish your thing and then I'll say
it's
my
okay.
piece.
It's okay. People are allowed to. But I like the idea if it's going to take time to make the craft, that I
Mhm.
want to be involved in it. I don't want it to be a situation where I press the button and have to go make a sandwich because it needs to take time, so that they're not just knocked out, cookie cutter
Right.
like a factory. But
Mhm.
if I'm going to have to sit there and wait, I want that time to be active and allow me to make something better.
Mhm. My favorite thing in terms of activities is this whole idea of guild supply infrastructure. So imagine you have your group of 300 best friends and everybody needs gear, and a few people have to figure out how you can supply everybody with the things they need. And the most fun and the most challenging thing to me is to figure out how to interact with people and to coordinate with people, how to make sure that your guild has enough stuff. In essence, that's mostly crafting.
Hmm.
But I would like to see, buildings in your on your island or in your hideout that sort of act actually as factories, where you have sort of uh, your people going there and starting things and working like at that location, sort of,
Hmm.
um, and trying to figure out that infrastructure, that organizing people to do something together to push something forward, um, as a thing. Uh,
So what do you think could really, because I see you have guild factories here as a side note. How would you
hmm.
make this happen? What is it that SBI could do to help facilitate this? Because this sounds like something that you like doing.
No, well, it's the idea that you need to produce your stuff in a location where it's not just you looking at a long green bar that goes up,
Hmm.
um, where you sort of have the freedom of movement after you start whatever process. And I think a game like Alba needs some sort of time component, because I think some of the value of items derive from the time you spend doing it.
Hmm.
The question is just how you balance that out with focus and multiple people and potentially alts and all these kind of things. And why not have some sort of production buildings? But I don't have a fleshed out, spec of that, how I would like to see it integrated or something. It's just, I would want to walk away from this one guy can do a lot um, in person, if
Yeah,
that makes
I
sense.
I know it's just you want to make it so it's not just maybe it's not really clear, but it sounds like you want to make it so it's not just one person, but it's a guild effort to get that many things done. So if you're
Mhm.
gonna have like a building that is allows for crafting, right?
Mhm.
That you could craft multiple items if, say, a number of people showed up at a singular time to start the process. But then once you started the process, you could then walk away.
Yeah, there's a few balancing issues, especially with focus and alts and stuff. But it's some sort of like a jobs supply line idea. Um,
Hmm.
but again, that's wishful thinking.
Okay.
But I rather ask you about the opposite now. What you least enjoy about the economic activities, or something you'd like to see changed or removed or improved rather.
Well, I'll say this is my first thing I did in Albion to work my way into a guild of any type of leadership role, and
Hmm.
it's also the most boring thing in all of Albion, and it's farming. The farming
Oh.
in Albion has so many things that I dislike about it. It's boring. Everything is heavy. There's not a lot of reward, like instant reward for doing it. Specializing doesn't feel like it's useful.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
Nothing along the way feels good. Like nothing about I feel bad. Like one of the things you and I said is let's not be really too negative about this. But gosh, if I'm going to be honest, everything about farming except for the fact that it's needed feels wrong. Like the fact that the goods produced from farming are so incredibly necessary and so useful to the world is amazing. It's great. Its interactivity post completion, to the economy is great. I love that the towers need it. I love that you use it in fights. I love that you use it in crafting. I love that you use it in gathering. I love that you make the potions out of it. It so much past the crafting part is good. I mean, but the weight, the transport, like, why does a sandwich weigh so much? Like 10 sandwiches, 10 sandwiches. Like what you would normally just like, hey, let's go on a picnic, honey. You need an ox.
Well, I suppose you're the sort of player who makes a few 100,000 of them as well.
Yeah, I do. I make quite a few. But it's not a few 100,000. Let's be clear. Making it weighs too much. When you make food, you actually have to do some math to find out how much of what I just produced on my farms can I carry and can I make. And that becomes one of the most like tedious, boring parts of let me do the math for weight for food. And like you can't do two steps at once. You can't go, I'm gonna butcher and make the wheat like into flour. I can't do both. Pick one. My ox ain't carrying both. And then I get to do that green bar thing. Now the only thing worse than the normal food is the fish food. The fact that like, and I'm going to get to the absolute worst. I didn't realize how much I hated this part of the game. And I love this part of the game. Like, it's a love-hate relationship. I know far too much about making food. But fish sauce and seaweed? There are terms that I don't like to use to, like, describe bad gameplay feelings. But this feels like a sickness that the only cure for is more sick. You know, like cancer.
No, I don't get it. Like, you want to remove fish sauce?
Oh, I love fish sauce. Fish sauce is great. But the fact that the only way to get fish sauce is to fail at fishing and then go and get, like, seaweed. Is just and then making fish sauce, you think the green bar is bad than anywhere else in the game. The fish sauce green bar by far the worst green bar in the game. Okay, so, I'm done. This is what I would like changed, and how to change it, I don't know. Moving on.
Wow. I sort of have to plus one on that as well. The one thing I don't like, or the one thing that I would like changed is the infamous green bar. We've seen it, the time of stuff, how long it takes to be produced, getting reduced a lot of times over the last years. It has been taking less and less time the longer we go into Albion. And to me, it's the issue of locking your character in a spot, being unable to move. I might be a little bit biased because I might be crafting larger volume than most players.
Yeah.
Some people might not see that as an issue if they only craft a few things.
Well, we've heard it come up a number of times. You're talking about like some of the UI issues, like for example, that you can't see your chat, and if you bring up your chat while you are trying to craft, it cancels the chat.
That's an UI issue. I think that's not really economy, but
I see it as hugely connected. If you can't communicate while crafting, that needs to be fixed.
Okay.
Like to me, that's like the first step that they could do. The very first step they could do to improve crafting and the economy in general is make it so that the person who is stuck behind the crafting window able to talk. Let them communicate with people besides going to Discord and basically, opening a new tab on another screen to chat somewhere else.
Right.
I'm sorry.
And the other thing I want to bring in here, because I absolutely dislike it, and you all sort of shot it in the face already, it's mini games. It's the reason why I stopped fishing. When I play Albion, I don't want to play mini games. I want to play Albion. I don't want to play like Flappy Bird or relogging Albion client Bonanza through alts. I would like to have it, in one place doing one thing and being able to move around and talk to people. I think is big. But I think that's enough of negative. Otherwise, we might get kicked out of this stream shows if we
No,
pull the game
as
too
long
much.
as we're constructive, that's one of the great things about working for SBI is they've straight up told us you can be negative if you don't like something, but be constructive. Don't just be like you guys suck for doing this. Like say why you don't like it and how you would like it to see it fixed, especially if that's what that particular show is about. But don't make our problems everyday's show. So we try to limit when we bitch and moan to times when they go, hey guys, we know that there are some things you don't like. Why don't you tell us what they are? And so that's when we can go, okay, time to unload, guys. Get ready. I'm getting my shotgun ready. Where are my slugs? Let's do this.
I have 3 more questions. One is, are there any activities that feel superior to others? If so, how?
This one to me is easy. There is one part of the economy loop that feels like it's just been done better than everything else, and it's gathering. Gathering has back and forth with gankers. Gathering is active. Gathering has its own gear. Gathering now has new tools. Gathering has specific biomes. Gathering has a lot of things going for it. Could it be better?
I see you like
Yes.
active.
Yeah, I do. I feel that in games like Albion, where it's not about it being pretty, it's about it being good gameplay. And Albion has some of the best gameplay loops that I've ever experienced in any game, and that's what keeps me coming back here no matter how frustrated I get with one part of the game. I can always go to another part and enjoy that loop too. But Gathering has a great loop. You feel like danger is always around the corner, but there's a reward if you can finish it. If you get back after looting an 8-1 or 8-2 node, oh my gosh, you feel so good. If you can go and take down an aspect and you can harvest that puppy, you feel really good. Like there are some
rich,
yeah, you feel like there's some really good rewarding moments in Gathering. And I want to see that kind of thing maybe
Except when you
pulled
do
into the other
stone, I
parts.
suppose.
Even stone, dude. Even
Yeah,
stone.
so
When you go
the
out there,
aspects, yes.
yeah. No, even in stone was the last thing I gathered. Like my last gathering thing, and I actually had more fun doing stone than the others because it wasn't
it's
about
straightforward,
right.
or?
It was really just like I felt like the risk was how long I could hold out. Like how long do you hang out there? It's not about, being ducky and dodgy and finding that perfect node and getting that big hit and being like, booyah, found it first. I got 3 whacks. No, it was about getting to it, gathering all of it, looking around, going to the next one, get it all, get it all, get it all. It felt like a vacuum cleaner and just sucking it up. And it didn't have the competition of some of the other ones. And I really, really just kind of enjoyed it. It was more passive than some of the others, but not so passive that it felt boring. It wasn't like Gathering in the yellow zones. It was different, but I enjoyed it. And yeah, that's the best part of the economy to me is the back and forth with Gathering.
In terms of stuff feeling superior or better, so almost saying like imbalanced or wrongly balanced, I have to bring up the crafting laborers versus gathering laborers versus mercenary laborers situation. To me, these 3 are distinctively different in terms of their value. So the time to fill journals is different. It's much easier to fill crafting journals. It's pretty easy to fill mercenary journals, and gathering takes much longer. The payout is different. So crafting is super fast. Gathering is fairly or rewarding rather. Gathering is fairly good as well. And mercenaries, PvE labors just are bad.
They are bad.
And not properly balanced. And also at tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 of almost all of the journals in Albion, the rewards almost don't seem worth the time because you get like a few thousand silver for a book. And if you get a few thousand or even a few hundred silver in terms of resources back, that is something that is, in my mind, not properly balanced. And I'm pretty sure that they will look into this in the future. Another point in regards to that, it scales differently as well, right? Because if you think about IP and gear power, how it scales differently towards higher tiers, that is different from tier 2 versus tier 8 journal returns, because it's like 10x, where on the other side it's a very different curve in terms of scaling. Yeah.
Okay. No, I get you. I get you. I also hear that if you're going to talk about overpowered or underpowered laborers, we should mention the Tinkerer laborer real quick. He's just a little bit OP. Too
Why?
easy. He's too easy. It's too
What?
easy
Why?
to just fill up journals with Tinkerers, and like all the other ones, the specialized ones, you don't, you don't grind craft. Like you can't grind craft mage stuff. You can't grind craft.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I disagree. You're
Nah.
wrong. You're
I,
wrong. You absolutely
I
can.
think
It's very easy.
okay.
It's the whole. It's
I don't.
crafting
I don't
versus
think
gathering.
that. I
It's
don't think it's
none of the
the
other ones in
market
there.
is quite there. Like you can't unload as much on the black market as you can
Oh, you
with
can.
Tinkerer
You
tools.
can.
And
Not with tools, maybe not with gathering armor, but in terms of books, yes, you can.
okay. All right. Well, I've heard at least a couple of people who use the Tinker that it's not balanced. So the only ones I have, the only laborers I have are Tinkers, and
Hmm.
I do use them just because I feel like they are just easier. I don't know.
Maybe in the combination of blacksmith versus hunter versus mage versus tinker, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but in the whole sort of thing, it's. Do you want to do the other two ones?
Yes, we do.
Quickly.
We're gonna get through them. I feel bad that we've got Tazik sitting in chat, and he's like, "But I came early to chat with you guys for OT, and you're just still doing your show." Well, we came up with an idea for a show. We said this will take 30 minutes, and 45 minutes later, we're still talking. So number 4, Bogle.
If they could change something about economic balance, what would it be?
All right. This one's easy for me. I just destroyed more items. I think ZVZs for territory control are a good start. But I would do more. I would do more to break more items. I would say, like, if, for example, and this is just something I thought of wild and crazy off the top of my head, quality, I think, should impact durability. Like, if you have a normal item, it should break a lot faster than a masterpiece. I think a masterpiece should do really well at like resisting damage, and that could be like a way to destroy more crappy T4 and Tier 5 items. Honestly, it just the lower quality it is, the lower level it is, the more likely it's to get destroyed upon death.
I like that idea as well. Yeah, or that you could when you overcharge stuff, that you can break lower quality easier or something.
Yeah.
Why not? I also like the idea of getting rid of more stuff, but mostly because it's good for business, if you know what I mean.
No, well, that's, to me, the business side of this game is the backbone of this game. People are going to point to GVGs and ZVZs and PvP. To me, the economy is what makes this game work. Like, that's why people come here first, a lot of people, and they're the people who make the whole thing work. Without the economy flowing, this game does not go, and there's nobody PvPing because the PvPers don't make stuff.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'd like to see changed as well, where I would like to see the ratio of people who create stuff and the people who destroy stuff slightly change towards more people having to create stuff. Because I feel like that it's partially too easy for too few people to supply too many, right? So I would like to see that lever tuned a little bit. I wouldn't know how specifically, but that's just a feeling I have, and that's the general economic balance I'd like to achieve.
See, I when you say that, I go back to that point where you were arguing with me about number 1 in the beginning, where I was like, I want active crafting, and you're like, no, and I'm like, but if you want it to be one person can't supply for 40, one person has to put in effort to make the good items, and the better the item, the more effort they should have to put into it and want to put into it to make a better quality item as well. So if you're making a T8, you should be forced to do something that takes time and you're active, even if you just have to pay attention. And if you want to make it good, you should have to do it well while you're paying attention. And then you have that masterpiece item that is T8 and lasts longer and does better. But it's that give and take.
Yeah. One thing that comes to mind if you think about this sort of issue is also that some of the tier 8 gear is not as quote unquote useful to a lot of players right now. And the way focus amounts are balanced is that it costs more to make higher tiers. And automatically, if you would be producing more tier 8 or A2 even, or A3 even, then the output per character would be significantly less. So if there was more use for A2, A3 in the world, then potentially we would see this effect happen anyways. So that's another lever where this comes into play. But there's so many things you could think of in that context that I don't think we have more time to go there.
No, I think it's a good thing to talk about, though, as we go on. I think it's a good topic, and I would love to come back to some of these after you've had the roundtable. Maybe next Thursday, do an update on some of these questions with other people's ideas and talk about them. But I think we have one more left, right?
Yes.
Oh, but did you get... Yeah, you talked about it.
I got the one.
Yep.
Yeah. And in regards to the roundtable thing, I will try to get permission to sort of report on that. I can't promise anything, but I will definitely ask to share some of these things that were discussed. But it's NDA, and I have to,
No.
But
100%.
I will try.
Yeah.
Last thing, if they could introduce a new feature for economic players, what would it be?
Okay, this is once again where we just get into the make random suggestions and hope they work phase, right? Now, I've thought about this one a little bit, but it's again one of those things where we talked about this before. We don't want to be in this like, these guys should do this. But something I've always wanted to see in this game, transport contracts. I'd love it if you could give your items to an NPC and receive a ticket that you can give to another player, that if you can go and meet them and that other player and they put it in your box at the other city, you pull it out and you get your items. But if they lose it, or they turn it in, or somebody else turns it in, the only thing that is gotten is silver. And then the person who created the contract gets to choose to either do another contract with the same items or bring it back. Now here's the thing. If they lose, it gets durability loss like you died. If it's a stack of items, you lose that 25% of the items right off the bat, like you died. If you had a bunch of items in there, they're all hit with the durability loss, like you died. So while it would be, it's beneficial for you if they get to the other side. It's not like they could just steal your stuff, and they get the reward of having all your stuff, broke the contract, yay for them. It's not worth it for them to necessarily turn it in just for the silver of the contract that they would get if they were, if they had ganked somebody with the contract. It would give it gives you an incentive to complete it and get the money that somebody paid, but also protects the person who's having it transported of just
the
dirty
other
dealers and stuff.
The other way you would do this is just by requiring a security deposit. So if you accept a transport contract, you have to put 2 million silver in escrow, and if you don't finish that contract, this 2 million silver gets deducted from gets put to the owner, and then the owner the creator of the contract then has to figure out how much security deposit he wants to charge for a contract. And it's almost copy pastable from other games. And I actually wanted the same thing, but transport contract is one of the things I linked something that I posted in 2016. The way I would like to see it is Albion having a post office, or a branch of the Albion Post, where you have an NPC that is sort of the guy where you can see all the transports contracts that are going on from that particular location in time, or that space. And then you can pick up a thing, deliver it, and then if you get there, then you get some sort of reward decided by the players. And I wrote this in like January 30th, 2016. So it's a long
Man,
campaign.
your suggestion is older than my suggestion of getting rid of 5-man GVGs to take territories. Now I feel like you're winning. Damn. We had this ongoing contest to see who could have the oldest post become part of the game, and I thought I was going to win it. But if we put in transports, because that's two of us. That we did not talk to each other about this beforehand. I did not know Bogul was going to pick transports, and clearly he did. I picked the same. I think his idea looks a little bit probably more fleshed out than mine. Mine is 4 sentences. His seems like it's 4 pages. Again, he was a member of Conflict.
Not in 2016 though.
No, but you were preparing.
Right, sure. And I guess if somebody wants to read this, they can find it there. It's basically copy paste from Eve, I have to say, in terms of transport contracts with all the functionality. And the last thing I wanted to bring up is a way to trade or interact with other players when you're not online at the same time. That is not done through the market with lower fees. Specifically, just contracts in general, or ways to make a personal trade with a guy from the other side of the world, where it doesn't have to run through a guild island, basically, or not for silver, and a way to transact without being on it at the same time.
Mm-hmm. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we need to get in with Tazik now. We've talked about all of our 5. We'll continue this with Tazik, and we will kind of just transition right into the Crystal Show. There's not really a time for OT. We kind of put this in together. When we switch over, we'll probably answer a few of your questions with Tazik.
Sure. Okay. Let's hop over.
Yeah, I'm going over now.
Okay.